Okay, I just wanted to show you this amazing clip about what it was like to live in Canada in the 80s and 90s as a new immigrant to Canada and how multicultural it was and how amazing it was to grow up and how different it was compared to now.
Niranjan, why don't you tell me a bit about your background as well?
So I was born here a year after my mother arrived. I was born and raised 70s, 80s kid. Growing up in an 80s, 90s Canada where I was privy to multiculturalism in a very organic way. It wasn't some United Color of Benetton commercial. This was full on everyone taking the piss and laughing at everyone else, making fun of accents. We all got to tease one another playing street hockey with our ridiculously curved sticks.
But to use their language.
Okay, so that was a really quick clip, but it was really amazing when you think about it. And think about that guy. So he grew up as an Indian Canadian in the 80s, 70s, 80s. He's around my age, maybe a little bit older. So he's probably late 40s. And he grew up playing, everyone was making fun of each other, playing road hockey. I mean, this is what Canada was at that time. Everyone was mixing in, having fun. And this documentary is about woke Canada and the problems with it and how bad it's gotten. And he's even talking about this. So this is an immigrant talking about how amazing it was really to grow up at that time. People were having fun and how much it's changed. I'm not going to get into the rest of the documentary. It talks about a lot of the gender theories and like things about that. But I just want to talk about what it was like and before this woke culture that we had, what real immigrants felt like in Canada and how different it was and what it could be like again if we get out of this. I think a lot of the new immigrants coming into Canada, they're very sensitive. They think we hate Indians or we hate certain groups, but the truth is we just have a lot coming in right now, and now coupled with this woke theory where we're not supposed to say anything, so we can't call a spade a spade. And now people are starting to speak up and they're like, hey, that's racist. Well, it's not racist. We grew up in a culture where we mixed with many different groups and we did make fun of each other. And we don't mind if you make fun of us as well and have different theories. We're happy to learn and improve. I mean, maybe not so happy, but like it's still part of it. That's part of the multiculturalism we used to have, and it's a huge thing when you think about it. And I think the new generation really doesn't understand. Like when I grew up, I think in 1981, that's when I was born, I think there were just over 24 million Canadians. Now there's over 40 million. Most of them are immigrants, and Indian immigrants especially. I think in 1981, I think there was a little bit under 100,000 Indians coming in a year. Now there's around a million. It's just radically changed Canada. And if you can't make fun and live together, it creates an isolating culture where we're not, we're not mixing in properly. We're not assimilating. And that's what I wanted to talk about before in the Brampton video. It actually got cut off, I think, and somehow I wasn't able to show this chart, but I really want you to think about it for a second. So this is Brampton, Ontario, and how much the Indian population has changed as a percentage from 1981 to 2021. So you can see in 1980, only 5% of Brampton was of Indian descent. There was a mix. People at that time were playing road hockey, making fun of each other. It gradually got more and more, and by 2000, it was 30%, and then it keeps going up and up to now it's over 60%. So it's a big change, and now it's so isolating. So you don't even need to speak English anymore if you're living in a lot of the areas. So you're not mixing. Like that guy in the video, you're not playing road hockey to each other, making fun of each other. You're probably only hanging around with your Indian families in a lot of cases, not mixing in with the other white Canadians or from different countries, wherever. It doesn't matter where you're from. It was a real mix, and that's what we need again, in my opinion, to get Canada back on track. So I think the woke problem is a big problem too, because you can't say anything again. If you can't talk about each other, make fun of, have friends and be honest with each other, you're not really going to create a very good relationship. You're going to create this like closet hatred, and then you're going to hear things like, "Oh, go back to your country," and we don't need to create this environment. We honestly don't need to do it at all. So I hope you can think about that. Stop being so sensitive in the comments. But Canadians can we can stop being rude about it too. I'm just saying this was the difference. So I think anyone my age, like in the mid 40s and older, understands what it was like, and we're kind of disappointed to see how the culture has shifted and people acting like we never had a Canadian culture. We totally did before. That's what our culture was, what that guy's talking about. Playing road hockey, making fun of each other. At that time there were the Simpsons, there was like that Abu, like go, he was always like thank you, come again in the Indian accent. Now we're not allowed to do all that stuff, and it's gotten way out of control. So I think you couple that, like the mass immigration coming in, coupled by, you can't say anything anymore. Even the people like teachers are afraid to speak up because they don't want to lose their job. Anyone in positions, they don't want to say anything anymore in the government. That's what a lot of that actually video, that woke video is. A lot of people didn't want to go on camera with their theories because they were worried about losing their jobs. You shouldn't be so afraid of expressing your opinion. Like, how bad is it just to have a conversation? It's not about hate speech. And then we didn't have words like hate speech before. When I grew up, we had conversations. If you were being rude, you'd get called out too, and you'd say, hey, don't say that, that's mean. And then you'd gradually learn. But if you don't have this learning mechanism, this way of learning, and just being told what to do, it doesn't I don't think it's helping Canadians, it's not helping immigrants, it's not really helping anybody. So I guess what I'm saying is let's revert back to the like 1980s theory, and I think it worked. That's like Canada was great at that time. The immigration mix, it wasn't perfect. It's not like we couldn't learn something from them, but certainly we can learn something from what we did in the last 20 years, which didn't work at all. And coupled with the housing crisis when people come in, the medical systems going down, everything went, the quality of life went downhill in Canada as well because of this. All of these factors like together, and then you can't speak up about it. It really, it doesn't sit well with me as a Canadian. And I hope you at least see what I'm talking about. This isn't about hating any culture or immigrants coming in. It's about how are we going to mix in properly again as Canadians. And I hope you like this video. And I'm happy to share other ideas. But let's have a friendly discussion in the comments, and I will see you on the next one.